Hey, Andrew here from the Revisionist Almanac. All the voting polls for the eligible categories featured on the 2014 episode have officially closed, and it's time to reveal the winners, who will be officially added to the Almanac. I want to first thank my guests, both Grant Z from Best Picture Cast and Tom Duncan from the Greatest Movie of All Time podcast for being part of the episode. I hope I'll be able to get Grant back on for another episode down the line, and Tom will be back two more times this season, in September for the 1942 episode and in December for the 1967 episode, both with his father and co-host at GMOAT, Dana Duncan. And if you love listening to Grant and Tom on the episode, be sure to check out everything they're doing with their own shows, which have links in the description below. And with that out of the way, it's on to the voting. The three of us were able to unanimously agree with just one actual winner for 2014, that being J.K. Simmons in the Best Supporting Actor category for Whiplash, but the other five categories had different winner picks and went to the social media vote. Best Supporting Actress was a three-way race between the actual winner, Patricia Arquette in Boyhood, Emma Stone in Birdman, and Rene Russo in Nightcrawler. The battle was close on Twitter and TikTok, but it was Instagram that really decided how this category would go. Rene Russo finished in third place with 21.7% of the total vote, probably in large part because Nightcrawler is the least watched of the three films. Patricia Arquette kept pace with Stone for a while, but did end up in second place with 31% of the vote, and that left the other 47.3% of the vote to Emma Stone for her bombastic role in that year's actual Best Picture winner, Birdman. This means Emma Stone has captured Arquette's real-life Oscar and officially enters the Revisionist Almanac as the 2014 Supporting Actress winner. She joins seven other actresses in the category from Season 1, Helena Bonham Carter for The King's Speech, Laura Linney for The Truman Show, Eva Marie Saint for On the Waterfront, Carey Mulligan for Shame, Karen Allen from Raiders of the Lost Ark, Michelle Williams in Brokeback Mountain, and most recently Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction. Moving over to the Best Supporting Actor, where we had an automatic entry that didn't need to go to the vote. Grant, Tom, and I were all in agreement with the Academy for 2014, saving anyone else we might have nominated from getting embarrassed in an online vote. This was honestly one of the easiest picks of the entire season, as J.K. Simmons in Whiplash is universally considered an all-time great win in the category. He's now the fourth automatic entry of the season, the other three being Natalie Portman in Black Swan, Steven Spielberg for Saving Private Ryan, and Philip Seymour Hoffman in Capote. And he's the eighth member of the revised Best Supporting Actor category this season, along with Christian Bale from The Fighter, John Goodman from The Big Lebowski, Toshiro Mifune from Seven Samurai, Christopher Plummer from Beginners, Jack Nicholson from Reds, Jake Gyllenhaal from Brokeback Mountain, and Samuel L. Jackson from Pulp Fiction. Up next was the Best Actress race, which featured two terrific women in defining roles. Voters were able to choose from the Academy and Grant's pick, Julianne Moore in Still Alice, or the pick Tom and I went with, Rosamund Pike in Gone Girl. Even though Julianne Moore's place in film history is cemented with her being one of the top actresses of the last 25 to 30 years, Pike got off to a hot start in the voting and never seemed to lose momentum. By the time the polls closed, Moore could only grab 25.6% of the total vote, which left the other 74.4% to Pike. Her intense, devilish performance in David Fincher's film led her to victory, and she becomes a revised Oscar winner, joining Natalie Portman in Black Swan, Cate Blanchett in Elizabeth, Audrey Hepburn in Sabrina, Kirsten Dunst in Melancholia, Isabella Adjani in Possession, Charlize Theron in North Country, and Alfre Woodard in Crooklyn in the lead actress category. And through 8 episodes, I've managed to successfully get all of my Best Actress picks into the Almanac after the social media vote, the only category where I have a 100% success rate so far. How far can we keep the streak going? We'll find out. Transitioning over to Best Actor, which had 3 gentlemen competing in the online vote. The options were the actual winner that year, Eddie Redmayne, in The Theory of Everything, Michael Keaton in Birdman, and Jake Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler. Let's start off with the bad news, at least for anyone that thinks the Academy got it right this year. Portraying Stephen Hawking might have convinced the voters in 2014, but the social media community was far less impressed. Eddie Redmayne could only secure 6.9% of the total vote, which meant that Keaton and Gyllenhaal would go toe-to-toe in the fight. It was close between the two on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, but the Twitter community pushed hardest on the scales to decide the fate of this category. Michael Keaton finished with 40.3% of the vote, leaving the remaining 52.8% to Jake Gyllenhaal and his haunting performance in Nightcrawler. Gyllenhaal becomes the latest revised Oscar winner in the lead actor category and joins Jesse Eisenberg in The Social Network, Jim Carrey in The Truman Show, Marlon Brando in On the Waterfront, Michael Shannon in Take Shelter, John Travolta in Blowout, Philip Seymour Hoffman in Capote, and Tom Hanks in Forrest Gump. And with the win, Jake Gyllenhaal is now a two-time revised Oscar winner this season. He joins Steven Spielberg from the directing category in this very exclusive club so far. We are now up to the Best Director category. There were three very distinct, talented options to choose from. Voters could side with the Academy and Grant, who had Alejandro Iñárritu for Birdman, my pick, which was Richard Linklater for Boyhood, or Tom's pick, which was Wes Anderson for The Grand Budapest Hotel. What a battle this was. Through 8 months, this was the single closest vote, with just 3.9% separating first place from third place. Alejandro Iñárritu had the most votes on Instagram, and Richard Linklater had the most votes on Twitter, but Wes Anderson had steady and consistent amounts of votes on all 4 social media platforms. When all the polls wrapped up, Iñárritu finished with 31.5% and landed in third place. Richard Linklater grabbed 33.1% of the vote, finishing in a narrow second place, which left 35.4% of the vote to your winner, Wes Anderson, for what many consider the perfect distillation of his style. Wes Anderson is now a revised winner in the Best Director category, and he sits at the revised Oscar table with Chris Nolan from Inception, Alfred Hitchcock for Rear Window, Lars von Trier for Melancholia, Steven Spielberg, who has 2 wins for Saving Private Ryan and Raiders of the Lost Ark, Ang Lee for Brokeback Mountain, and Quentin Tarantino for Pulp Fiction. Now it's time to get to the big one, the Best Picture. Voters had 3 films to put their vote towards, the actual winner and Grant's pick, Birdman, my pick, which was Nightcrawler, and Tom's pick, which was Whiplash. 3 exceptional films, each with its own set of vocal supporters. Showing how deep the year was, we did have several people provide write-in votes for films not in the mix that they felt also deserved to be there. Christopher Nolan's Interstellar received a couple of write-in votes, and Richard Linklater's Boyhood also received a lone write-in. Those write-ins didn't have any tangible effect on the final, though. Birdman and Nightcrawler both fought valiantly, but I think most people anticipated the way this would play out when the options were ultimately revealed. Nightcrawler finished in third place with 22.7%, and Birdman was a runner-up with 26%, which meant that in a landslide, Whiplash claimed the title by gobbling up 49.4% of the voting total. This means Damien Chazelle's frenetic, claustrophobic film is now a revised Best Picture winner, joining the ranks alongside Inception, Saving Private Ryan, Seven Samurai, Moneyball, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Brokeback Mountain, and Pulp Fiction in the Best Picture category. Something else really cool about the way the voting went was that of the 6 categories we cover on our episodes, 5 different films from 2014 were recognized with revised wins. Further proof that this is one of the most robust and deep years of the entire 21st century. And I want to thank everyone that took part in the voting process, whichever social media platform you use. The voter turnout continues to grow month over month, and August was no exception. Though only 5 of the 6 categories went to the vote, we had the highest category average voter turnout of the entire season. And just a reminder, you can find and follow the show on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and TikTok at the handle Rev Almanac, where the voting takes place each month. The more places you follow the show, the more opportunities you will have to vote for the actors, the directors, and the films that you are passionate about. And as always, Feel free to send me your feedback with a DM on any of the aforementioned platforms or by emailing into the show directly at revisionistalmanac@yahoo.com. This concludes the 2014 episode cycle, but on the way is the 9th episode of the season, covering the 1942 year in film, where I was joined by Tom and Dana Duncan from the Greatest Movie of All Time podcast. Did the three of us agree with actual Oscar winners that year, such as Mrs. Miniver, William Wyler, James Cagney, and Greer Garson, or did we bring other nominees to the table? You're just going to have to give that episode a listen and find out for yourself. Thanks for taking time to check this out, and I will see you next time.